In this video, I will briefly review the latest Tudor drama film, Firebrand, about Henry VIII's sixth and latest wife, Catherine Parr. Although Tudor-era historical dramas are very popular nowadays, and I think it has always been a popular historical era, I don't think there has ever been a Tudor drama that focused on Catherine Parr herself, or specifically on the last years of Henry VIII's reign. Catherine Parr in general is a kind of underrated and underrepresented wife of Henry, and she might be the least well-known of the six wives. But that doesn't mean she didn't have an interesting story. On the contrary, I think there is a lot of potential in a story about her. So the movie Firebrand is a British historical drama with Swedish actress Alicia Vikander in the lead role and Jude Law portraying King Henry alongside her. The movie shows a short period of Catherine's life, and it is not even all her 3 years as queen, but an even shorter time. The movie starts with Catherine being regent in England, expecting Henry's return from the fight in France any day, and it ends when Catherine's days as Queen of England end. Now, first I would like to mention the things I liked about the movie. First of all, I have to highlight that the costumes are perfect. Many of Catherine's gowns are based on real portraits of her, and really just all the costumes in the movie are, as far as I can tell, pretty accurate historically. And not just the costumes, the visuals, the production design, the whole atmosphere, they are really great and perfectly capable of making you feel as if you were indeed in the real Tudor England. Then, perhaps the strongest point of the movie is the actors and their performances. I must say that as much as I was against Jude Law's casting as Old Henry, I just have to admit that it was really worth it in the end because of his great performance. Why was I against him as Henry in the first place? Well, it is a well-known fact that Henry was heavily overweight late in his reign, and casting the slim and handsome Jude Law was a decision I was against. In general, I myself prefer historically accurate casting choices in every case, while I also acknowledge that casting doesn't have to be a double-ganger competition in a historical drama, but basic things should fit. And I really hate this tendency in Hollywood and in the movie industry that while they are all about diversity and inclusivity and giving all kinds of actors chances in every other case, somehow plus-size actors are always neglected. And for me, as a historical drama viewer, it is very annoying that even in roles that would specifically require a plus-size actor, because it is about portraying a historical person who looked that way, slim actors are cast again and again. And for some reason, movie makers prefer to put ridiculous fat costumes on slim actors instead of just, hiring plus-size actors to play plus-size people. So this is why I was against casting Jude Law as old King Henry, but, well, at least he didn't refuse to wear a fat costume like others. And it was a very well-made costume and mask, and his whole performance was very strong. And I think Alicia Vikander was just as great as Jude Law. I don't agree with those reviews that praise his performance, but say that Alicia was weaker because her face was expressionless and she was bland and without emotions. Well, this was exactly the point, that her acting was very, very subtle. While King Henry was showing his feelings and his wild temperament constantly, Catherine had to hide herself and her true thoughts and feelings very carefully in order to survive in his court. And Alicia showed this perfectly, and I think her performance was really excellent. And the others in the cast are also very, very good actors. So I think the acting in general was perhaps the strongest point of the movie, thanks to all of them. I also think that the characterizations were good. The movie showed the paranoid and dangerous side of old King Henry, around whom no one was really safe. Catherine Parr's often overlooked remarkable qualities and intelligence are also well depicted in the movie, and I also liked the way her relationship with Harry's children was shown. The movie builds up the tension very well to show what it was like to be in Harry's court, that you were never safe, that Catherine was also not safe as his wife, that she basically had to live in constant danger, especially as she was put under more and more pressure because of her religious views. All this fearful feeling and growing tension around Catherine is well depicted in the movie. It is almost like a thriller. And now, the bad. Well, the script, the story, and the writing are not the best, I would say. The movie is a bit too long for its story, and it gets a bit boring here and there. And it kinda seems that the movie notices this towards the end, and there it just starts to throw in more and more and more drama and weird happenings, and everything just accelerates, and history is completely abandoned, and it all goes mayhem. Really, the movies last about 20 minutes are... I don't know what to say without saying major spoilers, but let's just say that while the first part of the movie also contains some historical inaccuracies, it is nowhere near as bad as the last part. I know, and I have mentioned a few times in my videos, that it is very relative and personal what historical inaccuracies we find bothering or too much and what we tolerate. And I found the inaccuracies in the first part of the movie within the limits. They were usually justified. I could see that they happened for the sake of drama, and I think they stayed within the limits. But in the last part of the movie, all hell broke loose. It made me think, was this really inevitable in a Catherine Parr movie? That the movie about her has to contain certain inaccuracies to spice things up, to create more drama, otherwise it will end up boring because her story is not the best movie material? True, it is not the most action-packed, romance-filled story. It is not like Anne Boleyn's or Catherine of Aragon's or even Catherine Howard's story, but would it really be too dramaless or boring on screen without inaccuracies? Not necessarily, I think, but I am not sure about this. However, I think the movie could have done it differently to have a more interesting story and still remain more accurate historically. The period the movie covered was just too short, I think. Why didn't it cover Catherine's whole time as Queen of England? Or why not start the movie with Catherine being unmarried, well, a widow, happily wanting to marry her love, Thomas Seymour, who also wants to marry her, and then suddenly King Henry comes and wants her as his next wife, and she has no choice but to marry the old, unattractive, sick king who has already killed 2 of his previous wives. It could start like this and go on to show all her queenship, how she copes with this bad situation, her regency, etc. I am not sure that much historical inaccuracy would be needed to catch the audience's attention. The movie also made me think that perhaps with the perfectly accurate costumes and with everything in the movie looking so accurate historically, the movie misleads us viewers because after a while the story abandons history completely. And it might not look weird in a drama that looks in a way that you can tell it will not show history accurately. But here, with all this historically accurate appearance, the way the movie ends up is just misleading and weird. I don't know. Perhaps a bit less historical look, like the Tudors, would work better with Firebrand's story. It would be just more honest. So this is just my opinion, but I would be very interested in hearing your opinions as well. Has anyone even seen this movie? I kind of feel it flew a bit under the radar. If you have seen it though, what are your thoughts about it? Let me know in the comments.